J.D. Salinger's 1951 novel, The Catcher in the Rye, is a story told by the main character's perspective as he is in a tuberculosis rest home, recounting the story of his breakdown. Holden had been attending Pensy Prep, one of many prep schools he had been kicked out of. He did not apply himself, which resulted in him failing 4 out of 5 classes. Holden goes to visit his old sick history teacher, Mr. Spencer, but leaves after being lectured. After his roommate goes on a date with the girl Holden likes, Jane, Holden tries to hit Stradlater, but he gives Holden a bloody nose. Holden leaves the school. He continuously lies throughout the novel and after leaving Pensy goes to New York City. Holden desperately tries to create relationships throughout the novel and always fails, whether it be with taxi drivers, prostitutes, or random women at pubs. He can never connect with people. Holden does not find true happiness in the story until the very end when he takes his younger sister Phoebe to a carousel. He then begins to get sick after being on a 3-day bender in New York City a couple days before Christmas. At the end, Holden says that he's going to apply himself, but doesn't know if he's going to stick to his word and truly apply himself. In my opinion, I thoroughly enjoyed The Catcher in the Rye for a couple of reasons. Firstly, the novel was very relatable, as Holden, the main character, was around a similar age to me. Although I've never felt a complete alienation that Holden felt, there have been a couple of times in my life where I have felt very alone and isolated, and that certain relationships or friendships just didn't work out. Secondly, the story was very interesting as it shows the development of a character. Holden's character is a little hard to like at the beginning of the novel, but I began to feel bad for him, which led to me seeing the good side of his character. The main theme in the novel was alienation. This was shown through many different ways, such as Holden's inability to maintain relationships, his struggles to let go of the past, and symbolism in the story. Holden could not hold on to any relationships throughout the novel. A great quote that represents his inability to make personal connections and relationships is spoken by Holden in chapter 16 on page 23, which is, "I asked if she'd care to have hot chocolate or something with me, but she said no thank you. She said she had to meet her friends. Kids always have to meet their friends. That kills me." This offer was made to a young girl Holden just met at a park. In this quote, we even see the smallest friendships escape Holden. A major symbol in the novel was Holden's red hat. This symbolizes individualism and showed how he was different from other people. Holden also could not let go of the passing of his younger brother, Ali. This played a huge role in him feeling alienated from everyone else, and as Mr. Spencer said, life is a game. Unfortunately, the game had taken Holden's younger brother, but he still hadn't been able to get over it. The following video explains the origin and outcome of true alienation.
Karl Marx on alienation. Karl Marx believed that work, at its best, is what makes us human. It fulfills our species' essence, as he put it. Work allows us to live, to be creative, to flourish. However, the reality in 19th century Europe was that work destroyed workers, particularly those who had nothing to sell but their labour. To the mill and factory owners, a worker was simply an abstract idea with a stomach that needed to be filled. The workers had no choice but to toil long hours for a pitiful wage. What was worse, their labour alienated them. Alienation is a disorienting sense of exclusion and separation. Factory labour, under capitalism, alienated the workers from the product of their labour. They made stuff they couldn't afford to buy, which disappeared to shops in far-off places, to make money for people who paid them next to nothing. The factory production line split jobs into meaningless tasks that made the hours at work tedious, empty and bleak. They became cogs in a gigantic machine. Workers lived for the few hours at home when they could eat, sleep and relax. The rest of the time, they weren't fully alive. This work also alienated them from each other. The only way out of this drudgery, Marx argued, was for the workers to organize and revolt. They needed to seize the means of production, leading to his famous rallying cry, "Workers of the world, unite! You have nothing to lose but your chains."
The first discussion question is the passing of Ali, Holden's younger brother, the main reason for all of his faults and hatred? I believe that even though it may not be the number one reason Holden is the way that he is, but the fact that he cannot let go of Ali's death and that it is still a weight on his shoulders is completely affecting himself and his mental health. The second discussion question is, after the novel and seeing the way Holden's mindset has changed, do you think that Holden will seriously start to apply himself, or will he fall back into his old ways? In my opinion, I believe that Holden has truly turned a new leaf because he has gone through so much while being in New York City. He had also hit rock bottom, and he knows that he really has to apply himself so that he can never be at that point in his life ever again. The final discussion question is, if you were Holden's parents, would you send him to another private boarding school? Or would you keep him as close to home as possible? If I was Holden's parents, the next school I would send him to would be as close to home as possible because I would want to keep a very short, tight leash and be able to watch closely over him to make sure he's not getting into trouble. However, seeing the dynamic of Holden's family, I doubt that his wealthy parents would really want him anywhere near them, so he can't tarnish their image. In conclusion, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger is a classic novel which revolves around the main theme of alienation. I enjoyed the novel as it was extremely thought-provoking and relatable. Thank you so much for watching my seminar.